This is my quote link for Chapter 1, CMST 320. My first quote is, "Communication happens not when a message is crafted and sent, but when the message has helped create meaning for someone." The author is letting us know how important accessibility is when communicating with others. For example, I can devise an entire cell phone contract with a list of rules and parameters that my daughter must follow in order to keep her phone. But if I've not composed this message in a way that she can understand, then I have failed in my attempt to communicate with her. In my last CMST and English classes, both instructors really hammered home how important knowing your audience was in order to be an effective communicator. I learned a lot about being a concise speaker and to not use jargon when plain words can often be more effective. I received high marks in both these classes, in part due to the fact that I learned this and then integrated it into my assignments and also my verbal and nonverbal communication. My second quote is, "Information is not communication." As the author goes on to explain, communication is not a linear process. Human communication is more complex and sophisticated than simply sending and receiving messages. Human communication is a process of making sense of the world and sharing that sense with others, but by creating meaning through both verbal and nonverbal messages. I will use college classes as an example of how I relate to this quote. In the past, I have received both concise direction and structure and unclear directions to follow when submitting classwork. Sometimes instructors have trouble conveying all of the various minutiae involved when it comes to different programs, texts, tools that we must use to access or submit our work, which can make for a very confusing experience if the information does not hold meaning to me. When and if the instructor is able to make sense of the information and communicate it in a way that others can also gain understanding, that is when meaning has been created, not just for the sender, but for the receiver. I will conclude with this quote because I think it sums up Chapter 1 and also sums up my learning thus far in effective communication. An effective communicator attempts to learn as much as possible about his or her listeners in order to craft messages that make sense to them. Thank you.